quality, consistency, and food safety.
At the end of the day, food is all about love and passion. If you can bring that to the plate and offer your customer something which is made with passion and something that you're offering which is new.
An eclectic palette or affordable dining.
And over the last 3 years, we've seen a complete shift towards dining out as just an occasional thing to now becoming more of a habit on sort of a weekly basis.
A conference to analyze, build and sell the Indian restaurant sector.
I think it's a great event and restaurateurs have gathered here in great numbers. It's always really, really good to be amongst them, meet them, learn from them, share our problems, have conversations. I think we're closer to restaurateurs than we are to our brothers and sisters.
We should be the ones who are setting new standards. The world should look at us.
And discuss different aspects of the food industry.
The way India has been changing is the influence is something right from the ingredient. So we are very good in adoption. We adopt new ingredients, we adopt new techniques, and that's what is happening in India as well.
It's time for us to call our biggest and the grandest award winner on stage.
Indian Restaurant Congress 2015 and Indian Restaurant Awards 2015, an annual event, was hosted by Franchise India in New Delhi.
Franchise India has done a very commendable responsibility for our industry, and I've seen it grow over the last few years by putting people from across the country together under one roof, sharing their ideas for the restaurant industry.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. As the editor of the Franchise India Group, it gives me great delight in welcoming you all, the warmest people I think in the whole world, which is the restaurant people, to the Indian Restaurant Congress 2015. Restaurant as an industry in India has been growing and probably been growing the fastest as compared to all the other sectors that I have seen within franchising or perhaps even in various industries. I think that there's a reason or there's a system that has come to happen within franchising, and which is probably to do with fun business becoming more serious. There are a lot of corporates today who are seeing restaurants as a very, very serious industry. They are looking at big investments. We're going to have some of them speaking over here today. We also have a lot of lot of aspiration and a lot of lifestyle has gone in behind the restaurant business, which is being seen not just in the consumers consuming the restaurant or food that is there in the restaurants, but in entrepreneurs who are taking up restaurant as a business. And I see that as a great sign for the industry, which is already in the growth mode. And of course, needless to say, we have the world's second largest number of bellies to fill. And if Delhi's pot bellies are famous, then there is a whole lot of bellies you have to fill and a whole lot of money that is going to be made behind it. And while I concluded, as I welcome you all to the Indian Restaurant Congress, I would just like to say one thing, that I'm actually a Punjabi at heart and I love my Punjabi food. So it's for not just for restaurant owners but for the funding communities that let's invest a little more on the Punjabi food as a business. Welcome once again, ladies and gentlemen.
The introductory session discussed the economics of the Indian restaurant industry, showcasing how the consumers are evolving and the kind of investment the industry needs.
I have seen this industry change in multiple ways because being in the industry for so long. And what has evolved, and as I've grown through this whole business, is realizing that today the business is all about partnerships, all about relationships, and the way you take these relationships forward. We all looked at international brands, and a lot of us would travel, see new ideas, see new concepts. Some we had innovation, we thought about it ourselves. Some we copied ideas, imitated them, possibly did it better than what would be done internationally. But a time has now come for our industry, for our restaurant and F&B industry, that we should be the leaders. We should be the ones who are setting new standards. The world should look at us and look at taking these brands, these ideas, these concepts, these ways of operating procedures, SOPs, all internationally.
Now let's talk about the significant impact that the restaurant business has on the economy of India. The restaurant business is the highest employer of a segment of people between the blue collar and the white collar class of people, right? The employment we generated was about 4.8 million people in 2013, which is larger than Switzerland. And by 2018, we are going to be about 8 million. If you consider the indirect employment that we are offering, that's about 13 million by 2018. That's larger than the size of Sri Lanka. Okay, so there's some amazing numbers right there. So this is a serious business we're talking about here, and the government needs to sit up and take notice, and they need to actually push the restaurant business as infrastructure and not just a luxury. Because what we are really doing is we are providing employment, we are generating taxes, and we're creating microeconomies everywhere.
The factors which are affecting the industry, of course, we see every day a new international player coming to the market. They see the Indian economy, the number of people, the number of consumers, and all large players have already come by coming into mostly the Indian metros, and they expand to tier 2 and tier 3 cities. This exists as a large opportunity to set up shop to try out new concepts. Then there are a lot of expansion happening in smaller cities and towns. While new entrants tend to start their operation in metropolitan cities, the existing players and the market leaders are looking at smaller tier 2 cities such as Kanpur, Vadodara, Cochin, Lucknow, Surat as drivers for growth.
This was followed by a stimulated discussion that evaluated the various investment strategies for the food business.
First and the foremost is the proof of concept, the consumer's queue and the financials. And alongside with this is the capability build-up which has already happened in case the business has begun and has come into operations. Then the scalability potential to establish the brand. You know, it should not happen that you're investing into a concept which can just not scale up, and it is something which is very artisan. So the establishing of brand would not happen from an artisan brand which sits just across one corner of the country. And then the synergies, you know, which some of the private equity companies or the funds who have already invested into the F&B businesses, they do analyze the synergies from their ecosystem if they have invested into companies which could draw the benefits by establishing some economies of intellect, infrastructure, as well as capital to be brought across to the table to help the business grow.
When we evaluate a food services business, you know, there are two parts to it. You know, we evaluate some of the financial parameters and some of the non-financial parameters. On financial parameters, I think one thing which we really like is, you know, higher share of home delivery. We strongly believe that, you know, higher the share of home delivery, better is the economics, because the cost of delivery is usually less than the rental cost plus the cost of servicing on site. So, you know, we love business models where the share of delivery is like 30-40% of the total revenue. I think that's really good. If it is more, even better. So that's one. Secondly, we also, you know, look at the margins. So, of course, you know, there are various models have various margins, but we look at models where the gross margins, as in the revenue minus cost of goods sold, is upwards of 60%. You know, that's important. And EBITDA margin, you know, ideally upwards of 20% at the corporate level, if not at corporate level, at least at the store level. I think these are very healthy numbers that we look out for.
Over and above anything else, I think it is that connect that you can make with an investor that is the most important thing. When you are an entrepreneur, you have an extremely large vision, and you want an investor who comes on board to be a partner, to be able to connect with you on that vision and have the aggression that you have. So you know, all of that, and at the same time, I think one very important factor is being able to have that independence to run your business and that trust from the investor. I think that's very important at the end of the day.
I think what makes India different is that we are barely scratching the surface here. There's such a gap between the market which already exists and what the industry is. And what I mean by industry is the organized industry. The food service sector as a market is estimated to be more than 80,000 crores. Of that, the organized industry is barely 8,000. It's 10%.
That's amazing.
And the overall market itself is growing, and plus the organized industry, which investors such as ourselves would back, would be taking share from the unorganized sector. So the scope for growth is immense.
The panelists of the third session brainstormed on the foray of international food brands into the Indian market.
We all know that Domino's, Pizza Hut, KFC, McDonald's have been there for long, and these are brands which have large presence across India. They've built solid businesses over a period of time, getting into the best of real estate locations, continue to grow, continue to be profitable, and have dominated the space. So like you just mentioned that they're now probably always there. So people have come to accept those brands. They relate to them more as day-to-day food rather than an aspirational Western brand probably. But then there are the casual dining sector where we are seeing more newer entrants coming in, and where we operate, and that is where you're seeing this whole opportunity for the other brands to also come in and start leveraging the space.
We looked at how much longer is our brand be valid, the value, worth of it all, before we even decide to look into it to enter India. Because I think when it is that a product will become part of the mainstay, it's very hard to determine, because trends and fads and fashion, it's impacting a lot of something that's old. Is Johnny Rocket just making a research. People are researching and they're coming back with examples and such. So that's just my input into it, not particularly from an India perspective, but how we use that question to determine which market we enter and how we will enter. It's based on the potential life cycle of the product.
I think these days, you look at the kids in Delhi, Bombay, everywhere, the guys on Brigade Road, Linking Road, wherever it is, the plastic look of the traditional American QSR, it ain't going to fly, right? Look at Cafe Delhi Heights, look at Amici, look at Indigo Delhi, right? Those are a much cooler design vibe, and there's nothing incompatible. So, we, with the blessing of the brand, have moved that argument on because we just don't think it'll fly here. And then we thought, well, QSR, right? QSR is in secular decline in the established markets, right? That, it's no wonder the brands are queuing up in India, because there might be some like-for-like growth here if our customers, want that. But the reality here, and this was our thought process, was you can't play that game, right? So then we got into stuff like table service, and that's, we're the first market for Wendy's to do that.
There is so much of pent-up demand that the whole equation of sales to logistics costs to distribution to each one of it works so favorably. So therefore, while one would build in big cities for the sheer reason that there is a larger consumer base, and one needs to build scale over there, I think there is a big opportunity sitting out there as we expand across tier 2 and tier 3.
The 5th Annual Franchise India Restaurant Congress and Awards 2015 brought together veterans to draw attention towards the growth of the sector.
So for the first time we are participating in the event like this, and really appreciate where we can interact with the operators, with the restaurateurs and so many other agencies.
The second day featured an engaging session on the changing food trends.
Food cost is okay if it is in this ballpark and it'll be okay. But I think we need to go deeper. What should be on the menu should be worked, definitely keeping the customer at the core, your guest at the core. Who is it for? What excites them? That is something which is, I think, changes from location to location, changes from demographic to demographic. It's something which changes no matter which market you're working on. If one thing that has to be done right on food would be to make sure that it is converted in a more efficient way so that the value perceived by a person who is paying for that is far more than what actually it is. That's where the margins become more. That's where you will have the ability to follow the heart more, follow the passion more, get that leverage easy for you, where it gives you more room to maneuver and more room to work with. Having done all that, we all can hope that the restaurant would make much more money.
There's never less for a chef, you know. We want to play with different kinds of salt, different kinds of pepper, but what is really influencing chefs who are looking into other states, who are looking into other kind of cuisines to learn. Like at the moment I'm currently filming the markets all over India, and it's amazing to see some produce which, I mean, I'm based out of Mumbai, where most of the chefs who are working in big cities, they don't really get a chance to. So while I was in the south, I saw lemons which are almost like grapefruits. I saw beautiful spices in the south. So I think there is a lot coming to the table for us chefs to play. Technology in terms of efficiency and consistency is coming a lot, which is also a lot to do with health and hygiene practices. Okay, cooking meats in a slow cooker or a thermocirculator, where different consistencies of food can be achieved, which is actually enjoyed by our guests. Okay, so there is a lot of revolution where we are trying to show our guests what is new and how we can treat produce in a different way.
Whatever you cook, Italian, Indian, Mexican, Moroccan, Ethiopian, it should be tasty, and whosoever is coming and paying for that meal should enjoy it. And that can be achieved. It's easy thing to achieve, to make a tasty food. But the most difficult part of food is to maintain the consistency of that tasty food. And that is what is not happening in India. If the consistency is maintained in the restaurant business or food business, and the taste is there, nothing can hold anything.
National Restaurant 2015.
Once the discussion concluded, it was time for celebration, a one-of-its-kind ceremony to award the outstanding achievers of the restaurant industry.
It is the time for the best National Restaurant 2015. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a big round of applause to Punjab Grill. Ruled by royals since its very inception, it is known for food that is quite literally fit for the kings. Our next award is to honor Regional QSR Chain of the Year 2015 West, and the award goes to Jumbo King. Jumbo King is today the preferred food of a busy young country, India. Time for us to call on stage somebody who's won the Best Chef Award 2015. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Culinary Director, F&B Asia Ventures and Celebrity Chef, Chef Vicky Ratnani. Regional Restaurateur of the Year 2015. Please welcome on stage the Chairman, Laziz Affair Group, Mr. Priyank Sukhija. Moving on to our next award in this category, the Best Emerging Food and Entertainment Mall of the Year 2015. The award goes to Gourmet Hub, destination that elevates you to a global grandeur, India's first food mall. Let's give it up for our winners. Gourmet Hub, congratulations. It's time for us to call our biggest and the grandest award winner on stage. The Restaurateur of the Year 2015. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for CEO and MD, Impresario Entertainment and Hospitality Private Limited, Mr. Riaz Amlani.